With just a few weeks left to the election results, the battles for Lok Sabha are heating up. Even the voting booths are crowded. However, the voter turnout is yet to break the records. Comparing the voter turnout in the last two general elections, the voter turnout is, of course, not up to the mark. The Election Commission and political parties are concerned that unreasonably hot weather could certainly be one of the reasons or the culprits for the lower voter turnout rate. The overall turnout in the four phases of pollings is 66.95%, and the voter turnout for the phase 5 stands at 57.52%. Well, will phase 6 and 7 have anything different in store? That is something that remains to be seen, but we nevertheless will discuss if that is going to have any kind of an impact over the political aspirations of the parties that are vying for the voters' attention at this point in time. Advocate Manasvi Thapar, political analyst, with us on the broadcast. Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, joins us from the studio. Mr. Alok Mehta, editorial director of India News, also with us on the program. Chandni Preeti Shah, political analyst, joins me in the studio here. Mr. Vineet Goenka, political analyst, also with us on the program. Last but by no means the least, Mr. Sandeep Chatra, human rights defender, is also with us on the program. Mr. Vineet Goenka, I'll begin with you, sir. Sir, is it a matter of concern to you? The voter turnout has not been up to the mark. Now, if you look at figures, there have been very encouraging figures in the past which go on to tell you that in 2019, the voter turnout almost touched 70%, but the Election Commission has admitted that there has been a deviation of 4% owing to the hot weather conditions. Yesterday in North India, the average temperature was 45 degrees. But the big question is there a way around it? As far as I can remember, elections have always been held in the months of April, May or June.
Vinitji, Ram Ram to you, Ram Ram to all my co-panelists and all the viewers who are watching me right now. The democracy is strengthened when people vote. Vote for whichever party, whichever candidate, but they should vote. The number of votes also shows the faith in the democracy. So every vote matters, whether it is voted for A party or B party, for one candidate or another candidate. So my request through your channel to everybody who is watching this show would be vote. Now, yes, there are reasons like 1 December, which has been set. This year, we are 20 days late than 2019. So every phase which you are seeing is actually pushed by 20 days. So summer is very hot. This is the time when schools have holiday. Many places this becomes a holiday season and people are chosen to go out. So I think that will be one loss for many parties. But overall, if you see the percentage of votes which has casted in Mumbai today, as a Mumbaikar, I'm very happy if you see the number of votes which have gone up there. And number 2, the icing on the cake, if I say the entire season, is the number of votes being casted in Baramulla. So if you see the number of votes casted there, that shows that those who get liberty first time, those who get to taste the fruits of the democracy the first time, they are enjoying it. So I would request the rest of the country to vote in the next 2 phases, the way today Baramulla has voted or the way Mumbai has voted.
Right. Joyita Basu, in fact, India's stock market also fell sharply last Monday because, it was perceived that there is going to be political instability, but it recovered later on, and a lot of it had to do with, the diminishing voter turnout.
That is something that you are assuming. There is no proof as yet about, that is exactly the reason why there was a fall in the stock markets. That is the kind, I would say.
But nobody knows why the stock market falls at times.
Actually, no, it's not like that.
Nobody knows why it goes up at times. Nobody knows why it falls.
I guess those who know, they know. And what kind of manipulation takes place. And it seems there was some manipulations had taken place, and that was one of the reasons why the stock markets fell, and it has frankly nothing to do with the voter turnout. And if you are looking at the voter turnout in particular, you have to see until today, until the 4th phase, the voter turnout was more or less the same as I would say the earlier 2019 elections, with I think the last 4th phase voting going up to almost 69% or over 69%. So it has not been that drastic a fall, but yes, today. Now the thing is that, but even then today's final figures we haven't yet got, but I guess it should cross barely 60. But at the same time, when you are talking in terms of the voter turnout, you have to also take into account the increased number of voters who have joined the list. So, in terms of absolute numbers, perhaps you will be seeing the similar number of voters have voted or even more. But yes, definitely the voter turnout should have been much more, and at the same time this season that we are witnessing, I mean, yes, you are absolutely right when you say, you know, we have got 47 degrees in places like UP in particular. How will people come out and vote? But yes, it is only in the northern belt, you know, parts of UP where voting has happened today, which I am guessing, I am yet to see the final figures, where the voting, I am guessing that, you know, there has been a low turnout. In places like West Bengal and all, it has been raining. So, I think the weather has already changed over there. So, yes, we can talk in terms of the weather. The weather is playing a bit of a spoil sport in this particular phase.
All right, Mr. Mehta, in 2014, the voter turnout was 66.44%. 2019, 67.40%. There was a marginal increase. In 2024, were you hoping it to be higher, or do you think these are telltale signs of some sort of a latent anti-incumbency?
Vineet, I think the Election Commission, because of the 17C form in every polling stations, they have to get signed and then reaches to the Election Commission and all the details come. This is because the media and even the political leaders, few media people and political leaders, they are demanding, okay, immediately why you are not clear the percentage. So I feel that it will be a similar what it happened in 2019, certainly. But as a journalist, I feel that more people should vote. Like in Jammu Kashmir, there is what Mr. Goenka mentioned about it. I think we should feel proud that our democracy is such a state. In Northeast, you see, don't forget, even in West Bengal, I think even they must be fighting with the Mamata and BJP and the Congress and all. But I feel that people even, there was also a hot weather on. But even in Bihar, poor people, they are voting. So it's a very positive sign. But here, still with Mr. Goenka is here. So I would like to mention that some committed voters are already there. Congress is losing ground. There is no organization. So it's very difficult to workers to expect that they will go for people and ask. Then this digital campaign, like on WhatsApp, you send a message, on Facebook or Twitter. I think this is also the reason, because the political parties, including BJP, they are more depending instead of workers, not everywhere. In few constituencies, that's why you will find in some states or some districts a very good response, because if the workers are very active. But in Delhi or Mumbai and other cities also, what I learned that people say, okay, WhatsApp आया कोई बात नहीं, देखेंगे जा सकते हैं तो जाएंगे. Otherwise, earlier the RSS worker or BJP worker or the Communist worker or the Congress worker, they used to say, okay, Vineet, please come to vote. अरे क्या कर रहे, चाय पीजिएगा. These kind of thing people persuade. So only depending on the digital media also for creating problems for more voting, even for they are committed voters. That's why one should not predict how much the result will be there. But you see, Congress party started long back with this type of campaign. But I think in recent years, BJP also started following those lines. That's why in Samajwadi yesterday, you see what happened in Phulpur. People came there, but who are going to vote? This kind of in chaos, because they just brought there in a meeting and crowd for just meeting. Show the meeting and I don't believe that only meeting is the criteria. But certainly road show, if people are going like in Puri or in Tamil Nadu, what we have seen Prime Minister Modi response, it shows that people want to vote, people want to support or oppose. Even in Kashmir, I believe that even few people who are against the P70 abolition, they also voted. But at least they are with the country. They want their voice should come and as a democratic right. National Conference, Omar Abdullah was there. So I think this is the right direction. But at least you need more campaign, people to people contact, because India is not Britain and United States. Here we need personal contact with the people more in solving the problem. That's why the local issues are also important. That's why if my road is not a clean like in Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, people say, okay, why we should vote? Because on corporation also if they come in the power, then what will we do? What they will do? These kind of psychology is also working.
You're absolutely right, sir. And Mr. Chachra, do you think that the voters are having a hard time, getting excited because they know that the results, the contest looks, not doubtful at all? They're pretty certain, and pre-election polls are also pointing to the fact that Prime Minister Modi is going to come back for a third term. And, the opposition at this point in time seems diminished.
No, thank you. My first comment, let's take a moment to celebrate and recognize the power of our democracy. Let me say that at the outset, Vinitji. It's indeed a festival of democracy that's unraveling. It's 5 phases now, and we can see. I would be too concerned about the voter turnout. In fact, by global standard, it's extremely high, and and the figures you disaggregate. I don't think there's any big message to read there. I think it's pretty good. It talks to the maturity of our democracy. People, I've been traveling for the last 1 year. I've been to various states, talking to people, listening to their aspiration and ideas in order to develop, as a social organization that we are, in order to develop our agenda of service. And I find alarming and, high levels and very informed engagement. So to say that the Indian voter is, sort of given up, she or he is interested in wasting his vote will be a fallacy. I find very high levels of awareness with where they have come to, with their paths of progress thus far, and what do they want for future, and very high level of engagement. So I will not read too much into this. Now, the second point being made out, which is what I also want to comment on, it is indeed true that going ahead, and Vineet Goenka ji was pointing out that, the seasons seem to have shifted, elections are 20 days later. Yes, our future elections possibly need to take the question of climate and the heat waves that are happening, and in some ways plan for elections. It's very difficult to predict the way climate has shifted, the way climate change has happened. When will be rains, when will be storms, when will be heat waves. But to some degree, to plan for that. Now, obviously, solutions need to be found to make elections easier for the working classes who go out to vote. Already our elections are very proactive. Our booths are closed. India is one country where there's a national holiday. There's a holiday on elections. Several other countries do not have those holidays. So, there's high level of proactivity as far as elections are concerned. But I think to that aspect, how do we make climate-friendly elections, if I may call it that? Elections which take into account or predict seasonal shifts, make other methodologies possible. So I think that's one arena of work that probably needs to be looked at going ahead, given what's happening with reference to climatic shifts. Now, in as much as narratives are concerned, Alok ji was speaking before me. You see, the one thing that has shifted, unlike in 2014 and 2019, this election has multiple narratives. There's no one singular narrative. Analysts and pollsters reduced the 2014 election to one kind of narrative around corruption, 2019 to a narrative around national security. I think in this particular election, the narratives are very diverse. Part of which has happened to what Alok ji was speaking to, the internet or the democratization of social media. So in this election, from what I see on the ground, there are multiple narratives. Okay. There are local and regional issues. So I think that makes it much more interesting. So I'll stop here for now, but there's another round. I'll come back.
We have a full house, Chandni. Yeah. In fact, abrogation of Article 370 has happened. The Ram temple has been built in Ayodhya. Do you think that's left the party short on big news campaigns that have failed to animate crowds this year?
I guess. Can you repeat the last question that you asked?
Well, do you think that no big announcements coming from the Bharatiya Janata Party like they did in 2014 and 19 has not animated the crowds as much as it has in the past 2 sessions of the Lok Sabha elections?
See, with the Bharatiya Janata Party, the people in the last 10 years have understood that, okay, they promised to build the Ram Mandir, they built the Ram Mandir. They promised they will abrogate Article 370, they abrogated Article 370. Now, time and again, if we, listen to the subtle hints that the BJP keeps passing on through their, through our external affairs minister, if you hear Dr. S. Jaishankar, or if you hear our Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah. There are the subtle hints, if you pick up, it points towards the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. It points towards that in the third, in the Modi 3.0 era, they would be going towards, how they recaptured the Ram Mandir and put it into action. They would do the same for Kashi Vishwanath as well, and they would also go for Pakistan occupied Kashmir in some way or the other. And the and the results of it we have already seen in the past few days, how there were turbulence in that area, and the voter turnout this year, if you say, it is of course partly because of the heat that is there, which is a lot more than that which was in the last elections, and also the voter turnout has not been out so much more, because yes, you are true, somewhere or the other Bharatiya Janata Party is lacking somewhere in advertising more, and I think there is somewhere, as the previous panelists said, that there is not one narrative that is being fought upon this election. This election has many narratives. The opposition that is fighting with only one narrative, that is to defeat Narendra Modi. That's their only agenda to fight upon. Whereas Bharatiya Janata Party led NDA is fighting upon different issues on different demographies of this country.
Absolutely, and honestly, in fact, voter turnout, is a concern in certain parts of the country. If you look at the northeastern states, even if you look at certain constituencies in West Bengal, the voter turnout rate is across 80%. But if you look at places in Bihar and UP, even Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan and Maharashtra, there are constituencies where the voter turnout has not gone beyond 55%. It obviously depends on the demographic. It also depends, like Mr. Chachra very rightly pointed out, on the weather conditions as well. And it also depends on the socio-economic character of that particular place during the elections, right? Manasvi, I can't hear you.
Congress. Am I audible?
Yeah, now you are.
Yeah, as a lover of democracy, and I don't love BJP or Congress, as a lover of democracy, my entire premises is built on that democracy has to be robust, and democracy cannot be robust if we don't have a large voter turnout. We cannot compare it with 2014 and say that absolute numbers, we are larger or we are similar to 2019, because absolute number, if you compare with 1952 or after 1950 to 1957, absolute number, we are 1200 times, 1500 times more than that what happened there. So as a lover of democracy, and anyone on all our panel, we would want a robust voter turnout. And why that's not happening? It is very easy to blame global warming, weather conditions, or the climate conditions. But the reality is that what is the narrative that has not come out to the people? That's one. Are the people interested? We see the IPL stadiums being completely filled, but the voting booths are not filled. So that's that concerning part. So why isn't that voters coming to the booth? So where is this heading to? Are we going to be a democracy with less voter turnout, or are we going to be a democracy as the largest democracy of the world? I would also want that the voter turnout should also cross 75% at least in all the constituencies. How do we make it up? I think that's the major question. BJP will win, Congress will win. As per the analysis of all of us, it's most likely that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be in the third term. But how do we make sure that democracy is stable? Democracy can only be stable when people vote. And why is it important for people to vote? Because when they go for vote, they at least know that who the candidate is, who they are voting for, irrespective of the fact they're going to vote for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That's the first step to, as a citizen. My question is that I have right to information. I also should also have the right to question, and that right to question will come to me once I go to the voting booth. And if I'm not motivated to go to the voting booth, where is our country heading to? It's a major question. The question is not of 2024. Question would be in 20 years from now. We would see that this trend, if it continues, it's a deadly trend. Every election, we should be at least 2 to 5% increase in every constituency in terms of voter turnout. That's the major concern. And we blame it on election commission, we blame it on weather condition, but this is a new phenomena which has come to our country. In 2019, I remember I was on debate shows. In 2014, I was there. I was not discussing about the voter turnout because it was increasing. But this is a concern now. So a new problem has to be solved through a new solution. This is something which we all need to look out into. How do we solve the concern of why are we? This could be multiple factors. One factor would be there is no narrative from the opposition. Second factor would be that people are not interested to vote. And if this is the factor, it's concerning. Not interested narrative of opposition is not that's okay. You don't like the opposition does not have agenda, that's why the voter turn is not happening. I am okay with it. But if people are not interested to vote, that is something which I am concerned of. That should not happen in our democracy, and we can only save our democracy if people are ready to vote. They go out, irrespective of 45-degree or 47-degree or 54-degree in the future. Right. We as citizens, that's the only responsibility. In 5 years, that's the only responsibility we as citizens have, just to vote. That's the minimum a democracy would ask for us.
Mr. Goenka, in fact, the most disappointing voter turnout was observed in the city of Bengaluru, and they have good temperatures. It was 35 degrees in Bengaluru. So it's definitely not the weather always that deters people from voting. Do you think it's the condition that the people of Bengaluru are in fact getting accustomed to, or the lack of it thereof, that has demotivated them from voting?
Well, I'd not like to use the word demotivated. There are various reasons for people not to coming in. Maybe this is also an exam and admission season. So the students and the parents, they get held up because of this. There may be, the reasons of traveling. There may be reasons of office. But whatever may be the reason, if the numbers are less, as rightly said by all the previous speakers, then, it is not good for the democracy. And I feel, they have choice. They should vote for A party or B party. And if they don't want to vote for a candidate, they can always choose the NATO button and say, I don't want to choose anybody of the above. But they should actually vote. But there should be also reforms. And I think, one nation, one election, or maybe a digital vote, maybe things which should be discussed in the next session of the parliament, and we should go forward by incentivizing voting. In a democracy, you can never force people, because the moment you force or you make it compulsion, then you are actually going away from the democratic values. So what you should do is to incentivize and keep discussing these kind of things.
All right, good thoughts there and good pointers by all of our guests. I'm sure that is something which is going to formulate the policies of the Election Commission in the coming sessions of all elections, not only the Lok Sabha.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.